First, let's discuss the news details of the week. Coming off and still celebrating Portugal's win in the European Championship, joining us is Will Richmond, the digital news editor at the Herald News. How are you, Will?
I'm good, Keith. How's it going?
Good. You're not Portuguese. Are you Portuguese?
I am a small part Portuguese coming from my mother's side.
Oh,
yes.
There you go. So there was some celebration in the family over Sunday's big win by Portugal in the European Championship. All right, let's get right to it. Unfortunately, we're leading off with some sad news. Another murder this week in the city of Fall River on Plain Street. A 29-year-old Jared Cohen murdered allegedly by a 16-year-old student, Joel Lopez, and he was arraigned this week. What can you give us, what is known right now, Will, about the details of this?
Well, at this point, there's a lot of information to still be gathered at this point, as there was not much said in court during the arraignment yesterday afternoon. But it appears a 16-year-old and another person that, as of this time on Thursday afternoon, has not been caught yet, approached Cohen and other people who are outside the home at 129 Plain Street and just began opening fire. A bullet struck Cohen in the chest, went through his body into the home behind him, and he was declared dead a short time later at Rhode Island Hospital. The suspect, as you mentioned, is being held without bail at this point. There appears to possibly be some gang ties based on previous conversations that he's had with law enforcement, but that is some information we're looking to firm up in the days ahead.
It's really, all these incidents are unfortunate, but when you have a 16-year-old involved, again, the investigation is going to continue. You mentioned there may be a second person involved, but when you hear a 16-year-old with his life really ahead of him, it is tragic on many, many levels, and unfortunately we're hearing more and more of that. And if there is some gang-related activity, a lot of times that's where those two meet, when a youngster gets involved in that kind of element. But we'll be following it up with the Herald News as well as we find out more about this as the investigation continues. City Council this week had its meeting at Government Center. Number of issues on the plate. One of them, Mayor Correa's proposed changes to the ordinances on a number of positions within his administration. Now, Will, these positions, were they actually listed as such in terms of their salary changes in the budget that was just approved by the council?
Well, these are positions that are the salaries of the positions are guided by ordinance, which is approved by the city council. So in some cases, this is a request. There's one request to increase the salary for the position of special assistant to the mayor, which would be increasing from $45,000 to $52,000, I believe. And then there's other language issues that include putting the language in that says the salary for the position can be up to a specific amount. Right. I think if you recall back to the issue with the hiring of a new DCM director, the city had tried to hire one a rate higher than they had initially sort of pitched the position to the city council. So this language would make the salary more of a range than a specific number. So some of it is it's a little bit of language cleanup in the ordinance. But in the case of the special assistant position, that would be looking to raise the salary amount.
Were councilors receptive to some of these changes at the meeting this week?
I think at this point, there's probably more they want to know. Right. On first hold, as much that goes through the council from the mayor's office, receptiveness is not the initial order of business on their end. So at this point, I think they're looking to learn more and kind of progress from there. I would imagine the salary increase would be their biggest concern, though. I mean, from my perspective, the idea of cleaning up language and ordinances and creating the possibility that an employee could make less, if that is the case, by having the ordinance read up to a certain salary amount, that would make logical sense.
Right. So part of this is cleaning up maybe potential ambiguity in the language within the ordinance. So that's may not be a bad thing, as you said. The other item before the City Council this week is there was a discussion about the council hiring its own legal counsel in terms of lawyerly help. Right now, the council also uses the services of the Corporation Counsel's office, but this is nothing new. The city of New Bedford, I believe, I know when I was doing news in the city, they have their own legal counsel for the city council. So this may be nothing new, but new to Fall River. And is this a way to maybe protect the city in some ways from some of the actions that the council may want to pursue, or at least have an attorney on hand that would be looking at the best interests of the council?
Yeah, I think it certainly helps to ensure that the legal counsel is looking out for the positions of the city council. The city's corporation counsel typically represents the mayor's office before the council. Mm-hmm. So, issues of law can be disputed, as is often the case. And if the corporation counsel comes down on the position of the mayor's side, the council would be wise to have their own legal advisement that they feel is unbiased to advise them on issues. So, like you mentioned, this is an issue that has gone on for some time. I recall the council exploring this issue a couple years ago, mm-hmm. and I tend to mix up news that comes out of these two communities, but I know in either Quincy or Brockton, the council there is also looking to obtain their own counsel for similar reasons.
Right. So we'll keep following this as the City Council continues with its deliberations. Good news this week, Will, finally, if you're crossing the Bragg Bridge, which we actually both do on a daily basis, the exits, exit 5 heading eastbound and on the other side heading towards 79, all those exits now open and all that work seems to be done. There's still some minor details to be worked out in some of the work, but the exits are open. Traffic and flow is flowing, and that's a good thing for city drivers. All we need now, Will, is to have the Bragg Bridge finished.
Yeah, we're hopeful that the ramp work appears to be done ahead of schedule, so that's a good sign. If the bridge work can be also done ahead of schedule, I think the expected completion date is sometime in the coming spring. Mm-hmm. So we're still a ways off from that, but another mild winter, and we may see that get done sooner. But yeah, certainly the interchange of the ramps is a much cleaner aspect than it used to be for motorists, and it does seem traffic is starting to flow down there. We're about a week removed from the opening of those new ramps, and a lot of positive response, especially for the new "Welcome to Fall River" sign that greets people as they come down there. So. A good start for where this project has gone. Yeah,
that's right off exit 5. As you come right off the bridge, you take exit 5, go to the right, and then you come to a spot with a beautiful sign, "Welcome to Fall River." So traffic continues to flow in the city, and we'll await more word on the completion of the work on the bridge. All right, well, finally, you're younger than I am. Are you in the Pokemon generation? Are you in with this Pokemon Go game that's been taking over the United States? Not quite the world. I don't think it's available in all countries yet, but are you involved in all this at all?
I have managed to stay away from the Pokemon Go trend. I certainly don't blame those people who are into it. I've got my favorites when it comes to phone apps and that kind of thing, but I've managed to stay away from this one. At this point, so the ins and outs of it, I'd leave that one to someone else, but it certainly seems there's some good positive aspects coming out of it as well.
Now, you're right in downtown. Are you seeing people walking around looking at their phones in a different manner, looking at their phones, looking up to see if are there any Pokemon near the Herald News? Should ask that.
We have not seen any. I think I saw someone who works here who may have posted a screen image of seeing one in the sort of grass lot across the street from us, behind the chamber parking lot, or behind the chamber building. So there may be one there, but I have noticed a couple people that appear to be playing the game in the area downtown, and I've seen a lot of posts around the Battleship Cove area as well. So for the players that haven't been down there, I guess hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah, we also know there's quite a few here at the campus of Bristol Community College. So. Our people here have seen people walking. Even last night, we were covering an event. They were walking around, apparently, trying to catch those Pokemon. So anyway, not part of my deal either, but still interesting to see how culture evolves with this this type of thing from many people's youth. All right, well, thanks for joining us. We'll talk again next week. What's happening with the Herald News this coming up?
This weekend we'll be taking a look. It's the summertime when there's typically a lot of action happening at. You talk about an old time kind of thing. Is Granges in the area. So local Granges are kind of trying to keep up from the old farmsteading days, and so we got to taking a good look at what's happening in those old buildings you see in a lot of the towns.
Yeah. All right. Well, sounds good. We'll talk next week.
All right. Have a good week.